Hi, I'm Jack, CIO of Elements.cloud. In the last video, I took you through how to start capturing your agent topic process using activity boxes, inputs and outputs. We are going to review and refine that process into a format that agents will really understand and be able to reason and plan which paths to follow. Now, by the end of this video, you will learn the absolute fundamentals of drawing an agent process. So again, we're going to dive into our order inquiries process here. Now, one big learning when we started doing this was we need to treat the agent as an intelligent new recruit, so somebody new into the business who doesn't have any business context behind the processes that they need to be able to perform to do their job. Now, if you have previous UPN or process mapping experience, then fantastic, you're one step ahead. But the key difference here is you must give the agent specific context. And we're trying to do that through your inputs and what we're putting into the activity boxes. So the first key principle of mapping any agent process is your inputs. So always think of your input as an if. So if the customer has a query about an order, then perform the activity in the activity box. Again, similar to the output is effectively the agent's action of what's happening from box one. So let's take this through. So if a customer has a query about an order, ask the customer for the order number. That's the agent doing that work. If the customer provides the order number, then find the order. So it's really simple. Section of if this happens, then do this. Now, the if is what you want an agent to do, and the process is when you want the agent to do it. That's how I think about this. So if you don't give the agent the explicit instruction and the path to follow, the agent will go and do something you don't want them to because you haven't told the agent not to do that. And that's really key. The if and the then, this is the fundamental difference between agents working and sometimes working. So always try to follow the very simple method of if this happens, your input, then do what's inside the activity box. Okay, that's the first key principle. The second key principle is the verbs inside your boxes. So always start with a verb. So ask, find, inform. And again, talking through experience, what we found when drawing these processes, they need to be really action-orientated verbs. So verbs like manage or process, sometimes the agent can get quite confused because they're very vague verbs, whereas the action-oriented like ask or get or inform, which is what we're using down here, results in better reliability when engaging with the particular agent. The third principle is we need to actually understand where the agent's doing an instruction or where the agent's doing an action. So how do we actually do that? So if we look at these boxes, you can actually start to add resources. So this first box, ask the customer for the order number. This is the AI agent performing that as an instruction. So if I look for AI agent in the resource library, there it is, and I'm going to add it to that box, and we're now going to make that line straight. The AI agent is performing that activity. Now this becomes really important when we start to generate the instructions. So your resources around what the AI agent is doing and what is in action is really important. Find the order. Now this for me is an action because if the customer provides the order number, then the agent needs to go and do something. This will be a flow, a prompt template, more likely to be a flow because it's going to get data. So on this one, if we right click, we add resource, and we're actually going to go action, and we're going to give it action_name for the moment. Now, what we're suggesting is we actually use the API names for better documentation, but if we're going to go action name at the moment, so we now know that this is an action. The final fundamental of any agent process is, well, what about your guardrails? So what we're actually doing is if we bring a text box up here, so take it from the left-hand side, and we're going to have a text box. We're going to format this so it's nice and alert and in front of you. So if we bring up the right panel, override selected theme, we're actually going to make this border color nice and red because it's a guardrail. So if we drag that up there, and we're going to make sure the font, we want it in black, so a normal black font. There we go. and we're going to go guardrail, and we are going to document a guardrail. So a guardrail here could be the customer order number must always be in the format of XXXX, for example. So that there is a guardrail for this particular agent to follow. And that's the fourth fundamental of drawing any agent process. So if we take those four fundamentals that I've just been through and we're actually going to apply them to this process. So brilliant, we've got the resources, we've got the guardrail. There is a little bit of work we can do around the particular natural language, if you like, that we're using in the process. So if we look up here, custom has a query about an order. If that happens, then ask the customer for the order number. That makes logical sense, and we think the agent will be able to deal with that. If the customer has provided incorrect number or number is not incorrect syntax, then do this activity. Now, what we may notice is we're not using order number. Now, we have to be as explicit as possible when talking to these agents. Be really explicit with your input, the if, into your box. The second thing I noticed was this box here, find. Now, find can be quite vague. Where's it going to find it from? So we're going to get. From our experience, the action-orientated verb of get, go and get the order. You're actually telling your agent to go and get something using the action. The final thing is you can start to then colour your boxes. So if you really want to distinguish between what is an agent and what is an action, if you click on the box and we go down to this little paint pot here and we're going to override the theme, and we're actually going to make this box colour a nice gold, for example. And we're going to make any AI agent box purple. Now the reason we're doing this is a fairly small process. But if you start to look at your bigger processes, the colour, the changes in colour of the boxes really helps to distinguish when you're starting to design. I'm now going to take you back into one of our processes. So you'll start to get an idea of some of the more complicated use cases that you've seen and how they came together in terms of a process. So look out for the four fundamentals. You've got your guardrails at the top. We've got the resources with the actions. We've got the colour of the boxes. And we're starting to think about the action-orientated verbs, so check, inform, ask, book. But also the inputs are extremely simplistic, if and then. So if request from current user to book holiday, then do this.